My good people, my good people. Hello, world. I'd like to welcome y'all back to the show that's hot with your boy, Rob Scott. This is Rob's 2 cents, baby. What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody is well. Hope you guys have been enjoying yourselves so far. Just had a great Thanksgiving. Christmas is coming up. We're in the holiday spirit. Also, just had an anniversary, by the way, so want to give a shout out to my wife. I know I probably did so last episode. Shout out to my wife. I love you. Happy 3rd-year anniversary. It's been an amazing 3 years. Roller coaster of a ride, but I would not want to be on this ride with anyone else except for you. So, love you, babe. Appreciate you for loving me. And we going to keep this thing going because the Scott's outside. You know how we do. And also, man, just had my last trade show of the year, the one-of-a-kind gift show at the Merchandise Mart. Great turnout. Had, great to see a lot of businesses, flourishing in that show, especially post-pandemic or mid of pandemic. Great to see people out again shopping. Of course, we were safe, making sure people were vaccinated or had negative COVID tests. So, yeah, man, that's the reason there was no show last week. And I missed you guys so much. And we're going to jump right into the action. So, kick your feet up and get ready for the hottest sports conversation in the nation. This is Rob's 2 cents. And we have to start off with the NFL because I believe the NFL this season has been a great season. I was just talking with a friend of mine, and we were, discussing how great this NFL season has been so far. Because usually after about week 3, week 4, even sometimes coming into the upcoming season, you kind of already know who's going to win. You kind of have in your mind, who's going to be playing in a big game, who's going to be playing in the Super Bowl, who's going to more than likely come out on top as the new NFL Super Bowl champions. That hasn't been the case this year. A lot of people came in this year saying Tampa Bay. They were able to bring back everybody from the last Super Bowl run, which is a rare thing in the NFL to re-sign everybody. And you had a lot of people saying the Kansas City Chiefs. Mahomes is going to figure out the Brady equation. He's going to take this team back to a 3rd consecutive Super Bowl. And then after seeing what the Los Angeles Rams did over, the break, over the summer vacation, seeing them bring in a Matthew Stafford, trading Jared Goff and a bunch of draft picks to the Detroit Lions, bringing in Matthew Stafford, a more proven quarterback than Jared Goff, which I can't really say that in my opinion personally, but we're going to get more into that, deeper into this conversation. But a lot of people said that the Rams were your favorites. Now, we know who they were defensively. We knew they have Aaron Donald. We knew they had Jalen Ramsey. We knew they had Leonard Floyd and the rest of those guys over that on that defensive side of the ball. We knew what Cooper Kupp can do. They had Deshaun Jackson at one point in time. We knew what Robert Woods was capable of. And the Los Angeles Rams were poised to make a deep playoff push. We knew they were going to cruise through the regular season. We wanted to see how this team was going to be in the playoffs, and we've yet to see that so far as we have about 4 games left in the season. However, we look at what they've done so far in the regular season. The Los Angeles Rams have underperformed. I mean, we just had a month of November when they did not win a single game. We look on November 7th. They lose to the Tennessee Titans. Remember, the Tennessee Titans no longer have Derrick Henry. He's gone for the season. They're hoping to get him back from the postseason after suffering that Jones fracture in his foot. He had to have surgery on it. They're hoping to get him back for a postseason push. I highly doubt it. But Tennessee was still able to come in and put a whooping on the Rams, beating them 28-16. And then we see November 15th, my little sister's birthday, by the way. The Rams then put on a stinker of a show against San Fran and the 49ers. Losing to them 31-10. I mean, just looking horrible as a team on both sides of the ball. Defense and offense. And then they put on another stinker against the Green Bay Packers, even though they made that a competitive game. The Packers were able to win 36-28, led by the bad man known as Aaron Rodgers. So now we're looking at the Los Angeles Rams like, okay, you were not able to win in the month of November. Now, they did come out last week and they put on a great victory against the Jacksonville Jaguars, but that's the Jacksonville Jaguars, ladies and gentlemen. They are no threat to any team in the National Football League. Yeah, they won 37-7, but that's what you expect from a team like the Los Angeles Rams going against a team like the Jacksonville Jaguars. And it's not going to be easy going forward for the Los Angeles Rams. They're going to have to see the Cardinals. There's going to be a big divisional game, big divisional rivalry. As we know, if we look into the standings, Arizona is leading that division 10-2. Arizona currently on a 2-game winning streak, welcoming back their quarterback, Kyler Murray, getting their stud of a wide receiver back in DeAndre Hopkins. We saw what the Arizona Cardinals did to the Bears, which I already predicted last show. As I know, when you go against the Chicago Bears, unfortunately, that's a warm-up. That's to get you ready for the real games because the Bears are absolutely trash. But now this poses the question, is it Matthew Stafford's fault or the Rams as a whole? Well, we have to look at Matthew Stafford on the year. Matthew Stafford has thrown for 30 touchdowns and only 9 interceptions. Not bad. He had no interceptions against the Jaguars, and he played pretty well against the Green Bay Packers. Threw 3 touchdowns and only had 1 interception. But if you look at the games that they lost, besides the Packers against the 49ers and the Titans, he was horrible. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and he played like that in both games. Same exact stats. Almost same exact numbers, considering the fact he only threw for 243 yards against the 49ers, and he threw for only 294 yards against the Titans. Now, I told you guys, Matthew Stafford hasn't proven himself to be a true winner. He had Megatron in Detroit. He only's been to 3 playoff games, and he's won none of them. And this is the guy that the Los Angeles Rams went for broke for. Now, I have to admit, it's not completely Matthew Stafford's fault. This defense, might I say, has been overrated. We look at the Los Angeles Rams, and they're 12th as far as defensive rankings go. We look at this Los Angeles Rams team. They are 12th, ranked 12th in total yards. This is out of 32 teams. They're ranked 12th in total yards. They're ranked 16th in passing yards allowed. They're ranked 7th in rushing rushing yards allowed. They're 16th in points scored. Teams have averaged 22.5 points against the Los Angeles Rams. Mind you, I mentioned Aaron Donald. I mentioned Jalen Ramsey. I mentioned Leonard Floyd. You then bring in a Von Miller, who's a proven champion, winning that 2016, 2015 Super Bowl title with the Denver Broncos. He's a winner. Made life hell for Cam Newton when the Broncos played against the Panthers in that Super Bowl. Now, we know Von Miller's not the same Von Miller. We know this already. However, we assumed, like many of us assumed, that with Von Miller going to a souped-up defense like that, he is going to be able to provide some help to a defense that shouldn't have needed help in the first place. And Donald has been known as one of the greatest defensive players to ever lace up a pair of cleats and step on the green turf. However, he has not played like that this year. Now we do know he's getting triple team, double team, triple team off the line of scrimmage. They know, do not let Aaron Donald get his hands on the quarterback. Do not let Aaron Donald get any penetration through our offensive line. But you expect other guys to step up, and that just hasn't been the case with the Los Angeles Rams. So if we're not looking at coaching, if we're not looking at the quarterback, and if we're not looking at the defense, is it the coaching? Can Coach Sean McVay get these players to play to their highest potential? Because right now, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, nobody is afraid of the Los Angeles Rams. It doesn't look like it. As I mentioned, they got some tough games coming up. They're going to have to see the Arizona Cardinals. They're going to have to see Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. They're going to have to see Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. They're going to have to see old Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. And the Vikings, even though they've been up and down, they just had a great victory against Pittsburgh. Monday Night Football. I'm sorry, Thursday Night Football. So you're going to have to imagine, and I said Monday night. That was last night, Thursday Night Football. So you're going to have to imagine that the Rams are going to be a little bit out of breath by the time they get to the postseason, if they make it to the postseason. Now, I do see the Los Angeles Rams making a playoff push. However, will this be the year that Matt Stafford actually gets a win in the postseason? That's yet to be determined, and we're going to be keeping our eyes on the Los Angeles Rams. And we're going to have to jump right into the NBA. Because the NBA hasn't given us much of a storyline this year. We know about what Steph Curry has done and what he's on the brink of achieving, and we're going to talk about that in more detail a little later in the show. We know the storyline of the Los Angeles Lakers completely being not what we thought they were going to be. We know the storyline with Kyrie Irving not wanting to take the vaccination and pretty much being banned from being with his teammates in Brooklyn. But I want to take this time to create a storyline. I want to give you Rob's top 5 teams so far after a month and a half and 2 months in the NBA. Because what I've noticed from these big media conglomerates like ESPN, like Fox Sports, companies that I hope to get a chance to work for in the near future, you guys don't talk about what's actually going on in the league. So leave it up to Rob to get the job done for you, because Rob is always on the job. And we got to start off at number 5. My Chicago Bulls, baby. Now, the Chicago Bulls have had a great season so far. Nobody saw this coming. I knew that DeMar DeRozan was going to have a great impact on this team. I knew Lonzo Ball was going to have a great impact on this team. I knew Alex Caruso was going to have a great impact on this team and bring a championship pedigree to this team that we hadn't had in a mighty long time. Remember, he won that ring with the Lakers in the bubble, playing alongside of the Kane. Even LeBron James was very sad to see Alex go, but we were happy to see Alex show up here, and he has been a great fit for the Chicago Bulls team. But nobody saw this coming. Nobody saw the Bulls being in second place in the Eastern Conference with a record of 17-9 after 26 games. We look at the Chicago Bulls. They are 11th in points per game, 15th in assist point game, so they're moving the ball. Remember, these rankings are out of 30 teams in the NBA, and they're 7th in opponent's points per game, only allowing teams to score 105.2 points. we know what DeMar DeRozan and well, we know what Zach LaVine has been. We saw glimpses of what Zach can do last season. He had to do a lot in order for the Bulls to win games because we were that bad last season. Uh, we saw the direct impact of playing on the Olympic team and how that has impacted him as a player and what he's able to bring back, to this Bulls organization. Playing with people like Jason Tatum, playing with a Damian Lillard, a Bradley Beal, and then playing with players that has championship pedigree like a Draymond Green, like a Kevin Durant. Zach LaVine is turned into a superstar right in front of our very eyes. And we know what DeMar DeRozan has done. If we look at DeMar DeRozan, in his first season with the Chicago Bulls, he has been a fourth quarter monster. In other words, DeMar is our closer. The more the pressure, the more DeMar wants the ball. He scored 165 points in 22 fourth quarters, averaging 7.5 points per fourth quarter. Shooting 50% from the field. We know DeMar DeRozan, king of the mid. Well, I can't say king of the mid range. That's Kevin Durant. But DeMar DeRozan is showing just how valuable the mid range jumper has been, channeling his inner Kobe, showing the footwork, showing the post work down on the block. Giving opposing teams headaches, and because they know he's going to have the ball in the fourth quarter. Yet, there is nothing you can do to stop that. The Bulls right now are playing excellent basketball, even though right now we know they're getting ravaged with COVID. Finding out 5 players now are now in the NBA safety and protocols. You have DeMar DeRozan, Kobe White. You have Javonte Green, Damian Jones. Damian Jones. It almost sucks to see that COVID, is rearing its ugly head in the NBA. As we know, John Morant has just went into health and safety protocols, and that's been the case with many other players around the league. Hopefully, we can get things back on track. The Bulls took a tough loss to Cleveland a couple nights ago, and that's due to, pretty much your whole roster being gone. We know Vucevic suffered from COVID earlier in the season. Besides the injuries and losing Patrick Williams for the season with that thumb injury or wrist injury, the Bulls have been able to still maintain their positioning in the Eastern Conference, being the second best team so far in the Eastern Conference. Kudos to the Bulls. They come in at my number 5. Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, certified stars, should be all stars this year. Vucevic finally starting to get it going. The guy is a walking 2010, waking up in the morning. This guy gets buckets. So I think the Bulls are one big man away for being a true title contender. I'm mad that the Milwaukee Bucks snatched up DeMarcus Cousins. It's smart on their end, sucked for the Bulls. But I see the Bulls making a lot of noise in these upcoming playoffs, and I'm just excited to see the growth and development of this team. Speaking of the Milwaukee Bucks, they come in at number 4. Now I know everybody's like, but Rob, if the Bulls are number 2, is Milwaukee number 1? Because I could have sworn that they were 3rd in the East and Brooklyn was number 1. So if the Bulls are number 2, how is Milwaukee better than them if they're sitting in 3rd? I'll tell you why. Because they have the reigning Finals MVP on their team and Giannis Antetokounmpo. They've been playing excellent basketball this year. They're first in rebounds per game, 9th in points per game, and 13th in opponents' points per game. Not to mention, did I say that they had the Greek freak on their team? We know what Giannis is capable of. Giannis this year so far has been on a roll, man. Averaging 27 points per game, 11.6 rebounds per game, even doing it as a point forward, averaging a little over 5.7 assists per game, almost at 6 on the year. The guy is a 6'11" monster We know what the Greek freak can do, that he can completely take over a game, that he's at his best when he puts his head down. He stops shooting those jumpers and he drives to the hole strong every time. That's when Giannis is at his best. Remember, they've been dealing with injuries throughout the year. They didn't have Drew Holiday for a period of time. They didn't have Chris Middleton for a period of time. They're still without their big man in Brook Lopez, which is one of the reasons they went to go snatch up a DeMarcus Cousins, because you don't know when Brook is going to be coming back dealing with that back injury, and I believe he had that surgery on his back as well. So, he's not going to be coming back until later in the season. And we know that this season, when Drew, Chris, and Giannis have played together on the court, they're 11-1. They're 11-1. So that just shows you, when you have their big three on the court, they're better than what their record shows. And sometimes you can't not defeat. Even Bobby Portis was gone for a number of games dealing with injury. So now this team is starting to get healthy. They're starting to get everything rocking and rolling. Drew Holiday averaging a little bit over 16 points per game. Chris Middleton at about 18 points. I think Chris Middleton needs to move that up to about 20, because let's face it, he needs to be the offensive threat on this team. He needs to be the definitive number 2 on this team. He has to help Giannis out. He has to be the closer for this team, considering the fact that Giannis isn't much of a jump shooter. And at this point, I don't think Giannis needs to be much of a jump shooter. We saw how he can dominate a game just by playing his game, looking at that elimination game 6 against the Phoenix Suns at the NBA Finals. I got Milwaukee as number 4 on my list, and that brings me to number 3. We have to talk about Brooklyn. The Brooklyn Nets, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we know the struggles that Brooklyn has been going through this season. Not having Kyrie. We were expecting to see the full force of that big three this season. As we know, last year, if it wasn't COVID, then it was injuries. And we didn't see that team play together very long, even in the postseason. They got to Boston and they all just fell apart. James Harden was able to toughen it out, come back, try to help KD against the Milwaukee Bucks. We know pretty much they were one shot away from going to the Eastern Conference Finals and sending the Bucks home. KD toe was on the line. Game goes into overtime. We know the rest of that story. But Brooklyn right now is still playing excellent basketball. As I mentioned in my rant about Milwaukee, they are first in the Eastern Conference with a record of 17-8. They're middle of the pack pretty much in all of their stats. They're 10th in points per game. They're ranked 18th in rebounds per game, 6th in assists per game, and 11th in opponents' points per game. So they've been playing a little bit better defense than they had last year, because last year they was completely horrendous on defense. This year, bringing in a couple of players, a couple no-name guys, they've been able to ramp it up on defense. You bring in a Patty Mills to try to level out the blunt of losing Kyrie Irving. The problem is KD is not the problem. If we look at what KD has done this year, he's right on point for what he's always done. That's get buckets. Kevin Durant is averaging 28.4 points per game, which is leading the NBA as the best scorer in the league. He's still giving you 7.7 rebounds per game and 5.4 assists per game. KD is doing what KD normally does. That's get buckets. He's a professional scorer, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. But the problem to me has been James Harden. Because James Harden has not been the James Harden of old. Even though he's averaging 20 points per game, 8 rebounds, and 9 assists, James Harden has not had a great season this year. A lot of people have been saying maybe it's because the NBA has changed the way that the referees call foul calls. They're not giving him those little ticky-tack fouls that he normally used to get called for back in the day, hooking people on. James Harden was the master of being able to draw contact and get to the foul line. The referee said, no, that will not be the case this year, James. You're going to have to rely on your game. And James Harden has just been struggling throughout the year. The guy is averaging 5 turnovers a game. He's always been a high turnover prone type of guard for the last few years. But when you're averaging 36.1 points a game, you can kind of overlook that. Now you're only averaging 20.9 points a game, which it should be a lot higher considering the fact you have to help KD out. You don't have Kyrie. The cavalry is not coming, James Harden. You are the cavalry. And if you don't get it together, Brooklyn Nets is going to have an early elimination in the postseason. I know I joke about this all the time, but KD has to be kicking himself in the ass for leaving Golden State. You had it made, KD. But you wanted to follow Kyrie to Brooklyn. You guys wanted to bring in James Harden to Brooklyn. And guess what now? Kyrie ain't there. Now, there's no indictment on Kyrie. As I said, his vaccination choice is his choice. I'm not going to indict the man if he wants to take it or if he doesn't want to take it. But him not taking it is directly affecting the success of this Brooklyn Nets organization. There's just no way around that. But right now, they still been playing great basketball. KD, who I believe is the best player in the NBA right now, still doing KD-like things. And if he's able to rally this team to win a championship this year, then you're going to have to start mentioning KD in those top 10s list of greatest NBA players of all time. Number 2, ladies and gentlemen, this should come as no surprise. It is the Phoenix Suns, y'all. They've been playing great basketball. There's only been one other team that's been better than them, and that's going to be the team that's number 1. Is no surprise. It's the Warriors. But Phoenix has been doing their thing. I mean, look at what they've been doing. They're in top 15 in rebounding, coming in at 14th. And in their offensive categories of points per game and assist point game, they're 4th, respectively, in both standards. You have to look at the assist per game, considering the fact that Chris Paul is running away with the assist title right now, averaging 10.1 assists per game. And he's 3rd in steals, giving you a little bit over 2 steals a game. And we know we have to start off with the head of the snake when we talk about the Phoenix Suns, because Chris Paul has been doing his thing, rallying these troops, getting everybody in their proper places, being the point guard that we expect from Chris Paul. Chris Paul doing his thing, absolutely showing everybody that this was no fluke, that Phoenix went to the NBA Finals last year. They trying to get back to the finals, but unfortunately, they know that trip is going to probably go through Golden State. You're going to have to face Golden State in order to win. But Chris Paul, not afraid of that challenge, nor is his partner in crime in Devin Booker, who's starting to catch his groove. Devin Booker has been putting on the show the last few games before the game against Golden State. I mean, he scored 30 against Brooklyn, 32 against the Knicks, 35 against Cleveland, 23 against the Spurs. I mean, Devin Booker showing why Kobe took such a liking to him and showing what he learned from Kobe and adding that to his game. And Devin Booker, 23.2 points a game this season, being an absolute monster out there on the court. And, of course, the big man, DeAndre Ayton, averages 16 points and 11 rebounds per game. Left a sour taste in his mouth after what Giannis did to him in the NBA Finals. He's coming back with a vengeance. He's been playing well this year, right on par from what he's done last season, picking up right where he left off at. DeAndre Ayton, one of the better big mans in the NBA. And I think right now this Phoenix Suns team is poised and looking like they're going to make a deep playoff run. You bring back Jay Crowder. You bring in a player like Shamet. You bring in a JaVale McGee who has championship pedigree. I like the way that the Phoenix Suns have been playing this year. Mikal Bridges, doing his thing, continuing to be an important piece of this Phoenix Suns team. I am loving the way that the Suns are playing, but they're number 2 for a reason. Because number 1 has to be the Golden State Warriors. They're in the top 5 across the board. They got a record of 21-4. They're 3rd in points per game. They're 3rd in rebounds per game. They're first in assist point game. Excellent ball movement by this team. And even defensively, they're first in opponent's points per game, only allowing points to score an average of 100.3 points against this Warriors team. Doing their thing, showing people they are who we thought they were. The Golden State Warriors, man, let me tell you guys something. We know what Steph Curry's been doing this year. Having a historic year, and next game is on pace for passing Ray Allen as the NBA's all-time leading three-point shooter with three-point field goals made. We know what Steph is about, averaging 27.5 points per game, second in the NBA scoring list, right under Kevin Durant, still giving you 5 rebounds per game, giving you about 6 assists per game. We know what Steph Curry is capable of. With Golden State, it's about the others. Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, GP2, Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala, Bielitsa, Juan Toscano Anderson, Otto Porter. The names can keep going on. Have you guys noticed in every game so far this season for the Golden State Warriors, there has been a different person who has stepped up and helped this team continue its winning ways throughout this season? The Golden State Warriors, just the development, I have to give kudos to the developmental coaches grabbing these players. Look at Andrew Wiggins, who everybody thought was a bust, developing him into a top, scorer in this league, being the number 3 guy on this team. Looking at Jordan Poole, filling big shoes. Klay Thompson is no slouch in this league. I honestly believe Klay Thompson should have been one of the top 75 NBA players on that list. Klay Thompson is a monster. Remember, Klay Thompson scored 60 points off of 11 dribbles. One of the greatest shooters we've ever seen, and I really feel bad for him because his shooting ability gets overlooked because of the greatness of Steph Curry. But Klay Thompson ain't no slouch. And Jordan Poole has to fill those shoes. He has to fill those shoes. And he's been stepping up big, elevating his game. That three-point shot. Looking at Draymond Green, who's been more aggressive this year, looking to score more, coming in this season in some of the best shape I've seen him in, being the point forward for this team. The chemistry between him and Steph Curry is amazing. And to watch him develop a player like JTA, like Juan Toscano Anderson, who I really believe, if you look at their games, they have a lot of similarities. Juan Toscano Anderson, he looks to be another point forward in this league. And you have 2 of them on the same team. I'm just so proud of this Warriors organization, proud of Steve Kerr, who I'm always going to have love for, considering the fact that he was with us for 3 of his 5 championship rings as a player. The development of the Golden State Warriors have been great to see. It's been fun to watch this team play. And it just always reminds me of when they asked Draymond, how do you feel that the dynasty is possibly over now? And the way that he looked at them and smiled and said, who said that the Golden State Warriors were done? Dub Nation, stand up. Right now, they look like they're going to be impossible to beat. Remember, they're going to be getting Klay Thompson back around Christmas. They're going to be getting James Wiseman back. This team is only going to get better, ladies and gentlemen. These teams better try to figure them out now, because when Klay come back, you remember I told you Klay Day mean Mayday, because there's going to be a lot of three-point shots going up. And I wouldn't be surprised that within the first 10 games, Klay is going to break out for 40. They're going to be looking to feed the beast. Loving what I'm seeing from this Golden State Warriors team. And now that brings me up to the NFL. Who are Rob's top 5 NFL teams after Week 14? I tell you, we got to start off at number 5. And we're going to start off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I know they've dropped down on my list, but let's be realistic here. They've had an easy schedule, and Tom Brady hasn't been playing at his best. This Tampa Bay Buccaneers team hasn't been playing at its best. They've been riddled by COVID. They've been riddled by injuries. Gronkowski's finally made his return. I know that was a great sight for Tom Brady, who, let's just be honest. In Tom Brady's last 5 games, he's thrown at least one interception. If we look at the games before he played against the Falcons on December 5th, he was like at 50-50. He'd give you a touchdown, but he'd throw an interception. He threw 1 touchdown and 1 interception against the Colts. He threw 2 touchdowns and 1 interception against the Giants. He threw 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions against Washington, a game in which Tyler Heineke, outplayed him. It's been absurd to see Tom Brady not at his best. But we know that's because he hasn't had his favorite targets around. Antonio Brown was on the shelf due to an injury. Gronkowski was on the shelf due to an injury. Now, we don't know if Antonio Brown, how the Buccaneers are going to go about the situation of him lying about being vaccinated. Ladies and gentlemen, in case you don't know, Antonio Brown lied about his vaccination status. He had a fake vaccination card, which is also a federal offense. Now, I'm assuming now they're saying on record, they verify with doctors, he is vaccinated now. But at the time, he wasn't, which could have caused a risk to this team. As we see, COVID has been a problem in these leagues so far. And not to mention, you lied to your coaches. You lied to the NFL, which is a no-no. So he's been suspended for 3 games. And we don't know if the Buccaneers are going to even want him back after his suspension is up. But we know how much Tom Brady loves Antonio Brown. I mean, he's even allowed Antonio Brown to stay at his home. He vouched for Antonio Brown with Coach Bruce Arians and told him, I'll take control of him. I'll make sure he stays in line. But we need this guy. We saw just a glimpse of what they could be with the New England Patriots when they brought him on board. But of course, trouble got Brown kicked off the team. Well, Tom Brady left the Patriots, went to the Buccaneers and said, if I'm coming, I need him. I need a top receiver. I need my guy. But now, Antonio Brown got Tom Brady looking like a fool. But if we're talking about just strictly football, Tom Brady had a bounce-back game against the Falcons, but it is the Atlanta Falcons, like the Jacksonville Jaguars. Nobody fears the Atlanta Falcons. Tom Brady threw 4 touchdowns, only 1 interception, but that's the thing. 1 interception. He's thrown an interception in his last 5 games. Right now, he's 34 touchdowns and 10 interceptions on the year. So we're going to be watching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to see if they can turn it around. Not to mention that defense hasn't been the worst, but it hasn't been the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense that we saw last year when they made that Super Bowl push. So let's hope that they can turn that all around and we get to see the GOAT. Wouldn't that storyline be good? To see the GOAT quarterback versus the GOAT coach. Patriots versus Buccaneers. I'm calling it right now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm calling it. I want to see the Patriots versus the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. But they got to bring me to my number 14. The Green Bay Packers, led by that bad man, as Stephen A. Smith would say, known as Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has been dominant. Thrown 23 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions on the year. I know 23 touchdowns is not a lot, but you got to remember he missed a game due to him lying about his immunization status. And they have a great running back. Where they have a great running game in Aaron Jones and in A.J. Dillon. So Aaron Rodgers doesn't have to throw the ball as much as Tom Brady does because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers has a high need of a running game. They have Leonard Fournette, but they use him in those short passing routes, and that's what they consider their running game. But if we look at Aaron Rodgers, man, Aaron Rodgers continuing to do his thing. He threw for 4 touchdowns, no interceptions against the Vikings. He threw for 2 touchdowns, no interceptions against the Rams, a game in which they just destroyed the Los Angeles Rams, man. Aaron Rodgers went in there, did his thing. We look at the Green Bay Packers, man. They have been on a roll, ran away with the division in the NFC North. They're 5-0 at home. Right now, they're on a one-game winning streak. They have a couple of winnable games coming up. They're going to be playing the Bears this Sunday. Primetime football, 7 o'clock at night. That rivalry, which is not much of a rivalry these days, considering the fact that the Bears are trash. But the Green Bay Packers have a lot of winnable games coming up. They're going to be able to play the Bears. They're going to play the Vikings. They're going to play the Lions. They're going to play the Ravens, who hasn't been playing great football. And they're going to be playing the Cleveland Browns, who another team who also hasn't been playing great football. I see Green Bay Packers winning the rest of all these games. And Aaron Rodgers is looking for a little bit of revenge. He wants to get back to that NFC title game. He wants home field advantage. He said, Tom, I want to see you again. Let's run it back. Green Bay Packers are my number 3 team in the NFL so far after week 14. Number 3. Green Bay Packers are my number 4 team of the NFL team so far. Number 3 will be Kansas City. Now, I know Kansas City hasn't had that great of a year during the beginning of the season, but they've been on a roll now. We look at Kansas City right now. My guy, they're leading their division. 8-4 record, 5-game winning streak. Kansas City Chiefs playing some great football, but that's just on the defensive side of the ball because offensively, they haven't been able to do anything. Why? Because Mahomes, for back-to-back games, have thrown for 0 touchdowns. In the game on November 21st against the Cowboys, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. In the game versus the Broncos on December 5th, 0 touchdown, 1 interception. Mahomes is 25 touchdowns on the year with 12 interceptions. Remember, last season, he only threw for 6. And the last time he threw for 12, as I mentioned, that was his second year in the NFL, the first year after he received his first start as a starting quarterback. Since then, 2019, he only threw 5 interceptions. And in 2020, he only threw 6. In 2021, he's already doubled that. And we still have about 4 or 5 games left to go. Back-to-back games with no touchdown. Patrick Mahomes, I'm a little worried about you. That's why you're coming up at 3rd. Even though right now you're second, only under the Patriots in the AFC. I don't trust your offense. It used to be the fact that we didn't trust the defense. I don't put everything on Patrick Mahomes. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce have to learn to stop dropping passes. Tyreek Hill has given up at least 2 to 3 interceptions I saw where the ball has hit him directly in the hands. Somebody need to put some sticky glue on that man's gloves. Keep the ball, Tyreek. We know you're better than that. But the Kansas City Chiefs defense have been showing up. They're 8th, ranked 8th in the league for points scored against them. They only let the team score 21.6 points to get them. And then ranked 13th as far as takeaways. They have 16 takeaways on the year. Now, do I trust this to be a winning formula for the Kansas City Chiefs? No. Because we know when that postseason starts, I got to see if this defense can prove themselves in the playoffs. I do have faith in Patrick Mahomes, but man, you guys have to get it together. They also have to learn to start running with the ball. They're ranked 19th in the league of 32 in rushing yards, only averaging 110 rushing yards per game. This is a seasonal stat. They're ranked 3rd in total yards. They ranked 5 in passing yards, but ranked 19th in rushing yards and ranked 13th in points scored. Patrick Mahomes has to turn it around. He's going to have to get himself together in order to rally this team to make another playoff push, to make another attempt to make it to another AFC championship game. He's trying to make it to another Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes is almost becoming the LeBron James of the NFL. You just expect to see him there when it's all said and done. But the Kansas City Chiefs are my number 3 team in the league. At number two, I have to go with the team that has the best record in the league. That'll be the Arizona Cardinals. We know what Arizona is made of. Arizona has just been running through their opponents. As I mentioned, had a nice warm-up game against the Chicago Bears. Kyler Murray doing his thing out there through 2 touchdowns, no interceptions against the Bears. He has 19 touchdowns and 7 interceptions on the year. Kyler Murray, getting the job done, not playing the best football in the world, but doing enough to get the job done. We know that he's been down with injury, which is why his numbers are so low. But the Arizona Cardinals proving that they are a team with a winning formula, being able to win without their stud of a quarterback and Kyler Murray, still keeping that momentum going. I mean, we're talking about a team this year who's only lost two games. They're 10-2. They're completely running away in their division. They have an important divisional game coming up against the Los Angeles Rams, a game in which I think they can win. They're on a 2-game winning streak. The Arizona Cardinals right now on a roll, playing excellent defense. They're ranked 5 in total yards allowed. They're ranked 5 in total passing yards allowed from an opponent. They're ranked 16th in rushing yards allowed from an opponent. They're ranked 4th in points scored, only allowing opponents to score 18.7 points a game, and they're ranked 5th in takeaways. With 23 takeaways on the year. They have to get their offensive standards up, but they're not bad. They're only ranked outside of the top 10 in passing yards, which they had 11, which had a lot to do with Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins not being there. But they're ranked 10th in total yards per game. They're ranked 10th in rushing yards. They're ranked 3rd in points scored. They're putting up 28.6 points on these teams and only ranked 3rd in turnovers, averaging about 11 turnovers throughout the year. I mean, they only had 11 turnovers throughout the year. So this team is poised to make a deep playoff push. The question has always been, at the size that Kyler Murray is, can he show that he can win in the postseason? He's a smaller quarterback. We know defenses get tighter in the postseason. You're going to have a lot of defenders looking to put their hands on Kyler Murray because you got to touch up these quarterbacks to throw them off their game. Can Kyler Murray win in the postseason? That is yet to be seen, but right now has this team playing excellent football. I am anxious to see this divisional game against the Los Angeles Rams, as this is going to prove who's going to be coming out of the NFC West. And I think right now the Cardinals are poised to show that they are the top dogs in the NFC West. So that brings me to my number one, and that has to be the New England Patriots. Coach Belichick has this team rocking and rolling. We're talking about a team on a 7-game win streak. We're talking about a team at one point that was like 3-4 on the year, and since then has won 7 games, showing people that the New England Patriots, that the Patriots way is the way to be. The Belichick way is the way to be. I am so proud of this team. A lot of people counted Coach Belichick out, saying that, hey, he's never going to reach another postseason again without Tom Brady. And just to watch the way he's developed young Mac Jones, MJ10, as he wants to be called now. Mac Jones, a lot of similarities to Brady in his earlier years. He's thrown for 16 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, so about 50-50 with the turnover. He's thrown for over 2,800 yards throughout the year. Mac Jones proving that he can be a great manager of the game. He's not going to throw the game away. He's going to do what the Patriots have been doing since they had Tom Brady. That is, we're going to hit these short check down shots. We're going to run these slant routes. We're going to run these in routes. We're going to run these curl routes, and we're going to take a shot down the field every once in a while. But for the most part, we're going to dink. We're going to dink. We're going to dink, and we're going to get to the end zone. We're going to run the ball, and we're going to play defense. I mean, we look at the game that they played last against the Buffalo Bills, a game in which they won 14-10. We're talking about a Buffalo Bills team who everybody had high hopes for, a Buffalo Bills team who a lot of people came into the year saying that hey, this Buffalo Bills team could possibly make it to the Super Bowl. They are the new monsters of the AFC West. the Patriots said, hold on. Nobody's taking the AFC East until we say you take the AFC East. And the Patriots stood up. They ran the ball 46 times. They only had a total number of 49 plays, which means they only threw 3 passes in the win against the Bills and ran the ball 46 times. You know how demoralizing that is to know what a team is going to do and there's nothing you can do about it? The New England Patriots are proving that they're still as tough as ever. Not to mention getting the job done on the defensive side of the ball. They're ranked third in total yards allowed from opponents, third in total passing yards allowed from opponents, first in points scored against this team, only allowing opponents to score 15.4 points per game and ranked second in takeaways throughout the league, having 26 takeaways this season. This team is rocking and rolling, and Coach Belichick said, Tom Brady, you thought you was the only one that could have a successful season? Hold my drink. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. My top 5 NFL teams after week 14 in the league. And as we begin to wind down and close out the show, I got to give some love to my boy, Steph Curry. Excuse me. Steph Curry is on the brink of making history right now. As we know, Ray Allen right now owns the record for most three-pointers made in an NBA history, throughout the NBA history. He currently sits at 1,300 games. It only took him 1,300 games to score these three-pointers. His record right now is at 2,974 or something like that with Ray Allen. I mean, just absurd numbers. And right now, Steph Curry is 10 3-point shots away from breaking that record. Now, he did have a game against the Portland Trail Blazers, in which we thought he was going to attempt to break that record because he was only 16 away at the time. And we look at it, he came out and he definitely got up his shots. I mean, we look at what Steph Curry did. I believe he took 17 threes. He only hit 6 of them. But he came out with the intent of breaking that record that night. It was not meant for him in the cards. However, he has a game coming up, I believe, against Philadelphia tomorrow, this Saturday, and he's only 10 threes away. And let's be real, ladies and gentlemen, it is very possible that he can hit 10 threes throughout a game. Steph Curry might be looking to break that record, especially with his little brother Seth on the floor. I believe Steph Curry's at 2,973, so that makes Ray Allen at 2,982. He needs 9 to tie. He needs 10 to break the record. So right now, it's just a matter of I'm sorry, no, Ray Allen's at 2,973. So that means Steph Curry is at 2,964. So that means he needs 9 to tie or 10 to break the record. So I mean, just amazing to see what Steph Curry's done. It's only taking him 700 and some odd games to break this record. It took Ray Allen 1,300 games to break Reggie Miller's record. I believe it took Reggie Miller 1,386 games for him to get to the NBA record at the time when he had made the most threes. So this record is just simply going to tell everybody what we've already known. And that is Steph Curry is the greatest shooter that we've ever seen in our lives and probably will never see again. I'm talking about the human cheat code. I mean, Steph Curry is just terrific. There's nothing you can say about this man that hasn't already been said. Hell of a player, great father, great man, God-fearing man. He comes from a great foundation, has a great family, just to see his greatness on the court, it's hard to not put him in top 10 all time. as far as NBA players go ever. Um, Steph Curry, that boy cold, and I'm so excited to see him break this record. As you guys know, Steph Curry is my favorite player. So when it comes to Steph, in the words of Ernie Johnson, in the words of Kenny Smith, Charles Barkley, and the big man Shaq Diesel, he makes it look Steffortless. And I salute you, brother. I can't wait to be a part of that journey, watching you break that record. Shout out to Ray Allen. Shout out to Reggie Miller. Shout out to all the shooters who've done this before. It's been an honor to watch you guys perform your craft at the highest level. So salute, Steph. Congratulations, brother. And man, don't make it so hard for the next person to break it, because I don't see you slowing down. And I see you winning an NBA title this year. And if you get Finals MVP, Steph, there is no way in hell that they cannot say that you are not top 10 all time ever in the NBA, brother. Also, I want to let you guys know our thoughts and prayers are with CJ McCullough. As CJ McCullough has found out, he had a collapsed lung. He left a game with an injury, and they thought it was a rib injury. Find out that he has a collapsed lung, so we don't know how long he's going to be gone. We know right now Portland has already been facing injury, not having Dame Dollar on the court. So, just our thoughts and prayers are with CJ McCullough at this point in time. And I have to talk about a boxing match that went on. Javante Tank Davis defeated Isaac Cruz last week, and it was a hell of a match. As we all know, the bout was for the WBA lightweight title. It did go the distance. It went on 12 rounds. Javante was able to get the win by decision, bringing his record to 26-0. So he's still undefeated. He has 24 knockouts and 2 wins by decision, including this most recent one against Isaac Cruz. And let me tell you guys something, man. It was a great matchup. Isaac did not come to play. The pit bull, the name that I've dubbed him, the way he was able to eat Javante punches and keep coming in for more and causing some pain for Javante. This match reminded me of the Mayweather versus Marcos Maidana matchup. As you guys remember, Marcos Maidana was the aggressor. He was trying to hurt Mayweather. He wanted to put hands on Mayweather, and Mayweather knew that, and he baited him in, and he simply outboxed Maidana. Maidana was more physical, but Mayweather was able to finesse his way through both matches that he had with Marcos Maidana, and I believe he rubbed off on Tank. Tank probably knew this is a guy that I can't knock out. We know the spirit of the Latino people, especially in the world of professional boxing, is second to none. My Hispanic brothers and sisters, they live for boxing. They are boxing. You don't have boxing without the Hispanic touch on this game. I mean, look at Canelo Alvarez, for instance. Cruz no different, looking to get a title, coming in, bringing the fight to Tank, and Tank simply outboxed him. A lot of people said Tank ran throughout this fight, which you guys know nothing about boxing. The objective of boxing has always been to hit and not get hit, and Tank did that. Tank was able to, maneuver his way, hit cleaner shots. And I believe that's the reason he won the fight. Not to mention, he also hurt his left hand, like Mayweather hurt his hand in previous fights. So, we're looking to see Tank get healed up, get back in the square circle. A lot of people are screaming for him to fight Haney. I don't know if he wants that fight yet. Devin Haney is going to prove to be a tough fight for Javante. But so far, right now, Tank has been running through the competition, going through everybody they put in front of him, and he's showing why Mayweather has so much trust in him and why he's making the big bucks. And last but not least, on a somber note, I had to, come on here and give a huge rest in peace to Demaryius Thomas. as you guys know, he played for the Denver Broncos. That's what I most know him for. Him being, one of those big time receivers in Denver. Watching the miracle that he had with Tim Tebow when he ran it in overtime, which today still holds the record as the quickest overtime victory in NFL history. That was right after they changed the rules, and it used to be, you scored and the opposing team gets a chance to score, and if they don't, then you win the game. But now with the overtime rules, is if you score a field goal, then the team gets a chance to score. If you score a touchdown in overtime, whoever scores the first touchdown essentially wins the game. And Demaryius Thomas was able to get a huge touchdown pass. He ran it, game over against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which was a great playoff victory for him. And eventually he won a Super Bowl in later years to come when Peyton Manning took over the helm as the quarterback for the Denver Broncos. Demaryius Thomas, NFL champion, four-time Pro Bowler, has 724 receptions in his career, 9,763 yards gained in his career, 63 touchdowns caught within his career. Just a real playmaker out there, wanted to show what he can do in the NFL, and he did it. Had a great NFL career, got plagued by injuries later on in his career, but Demaryius Thomas was a stand-up guy. I didn't know him personally, of course, but just seeing the reaction from, a Shannon Sharp who, was real emotional when he was talking about him, saying that was his little brother. And, he wished he would have reached out to him when he heard that he wasn't doing so well. Seeing the outpour from, teammates, former teammates, other NFL players about how great of a guy Demaryius Thomas was and how much of a family man he was and, how much of a great teammate he was. And, and that's what you want to do. You want to leave a legacy behind where, people talk about the greatness of you, not just as a player, but as a man. And, he was only 33 years old when he passed away. They're speculating it's due to seizures, as he was in an accident about a year or so ago, and it left him, to catch these seizures to the point where he didn't even want to be alone because he was afraid to have a seizure and nobody would be there to help him. And they're speculating that it was indeed a seizure that took him out. He was found dead in his home. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family, with his former teammates. Like I said, everybody said he was a great man, and I'm not gonna go against the grain. I'm happy that there were nothing but kind words left for this brother, and again, my condolences. Rest in power, Demaryius Thomas, and we appreciate your years of entertainment and your years of service in the NFL, and hope you rest peacefully and tell the big man upstairs to save a seat for me when my time comes. And that's my show, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you guys for sticking around with your boy. I know it took me longer than usual to get this show out, but I'm always gonna put that work in. Rob's 2 cents, baby. This is my passion. This is my love. This is my heart. I got to do what pays the bills, but then I come back and work on the skills. You know how I go. Hey, you guys make sure you catch me on all social media platforms. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm even on LinkedIn, TikTok. Also, catch me on the Rewind Sports City, the Rewind Sports 60 Roku channel. And we now have an app, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to have that description in the link below. We have an app. Make sure you guys download the Rewind Sports 60 app. Shout out to Brother Jerry Rouse. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Hey, I downloaded the app. Hey, if you guys want to hear real sports talk from real sports fans, download the app. You'll see my show. You'll see the Sports Cubicle and Sports from the Couch with my brother Michelangelo Mercado, who I'm going to be a guest on his show. Make sure you guys tune into that on Sunday. Got to talk with him and go on his show as an NBA analyst, another mutual friend that I met through Brother Jerry Rouse. I appreciate all the connections that he's allowed me to have, and appreciate him for allowing me to showcase my talent to the world. I love you guys. I'm nothing without you. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. I know I'm going to have more time for that in the near future. Just wanted to get it out the way now and let you guys know. You know what I always tell you guys. Set those achievable goals. Set a plan. Get a plan of how you're going to achieve those goals. And then you go out and execute, y'all. I love y'all. I hope y'all have a great one. I hope you continue to be great. And you already know the slogan, baby. We gone. There's a bigger fight going on. There's a much bigger agenda than the streets. And I know sometimes it's hard to see that far in front of us. But we have to look past the illusions. Look past the delusions of grandeur. And look at the bigger picture. We need to become better versions of ourselves each and every day. Fight for what you believe in. Because if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. We just getting started, baby. You guys know the slogan now. Hope you all have a great evening. And